When investigating language, it's pretty easy to investigate syntactic issues because syntax is well defined and you have particular rules for different languages, and you can easily play around with issues of grammaticality, that is, have a grammatical sentence or an ungrammatical sentence. And there's no discussion whether the sentence is ungrammatical or not, because every native speaker would give you the indication that a certain type of sentence is ungrammatical, even though the person is not able to tell you what the underlying grammatical rule is for this. Linguistically, we have also well-defined complexity in terms of when we try to compare a less complex sentence to a more complex sentence. There are particular assumptions that what you see at the surface of a particular sentence is not enough, but you have to know about what's the underlying structure. And the idea is, for example, that a passive sentence is not a passive sentence per se, if you want, but that underlying you have an active sentence, and through some kind of syntactic computation, you make a passive sentence out of the active sentence. So when I say something like Maria kissed Peter, and then make a passive sentence, Peter was kissed by Maria, the idea is that this needs additional computation, because the assumption is that there is always a basic underlying sentence lying in the deep structure, if you want. So it's very easy to sort of construct particular sentence material in the different languages that allows you to look at different aspects of syntax. With respect to semantics, that's seemingly easy, because we always seem to know what's good and what's sort of a bad semantic sentence. But what is difficult is to really distinguish between what's linguistic and what's common knowledge. For example, a semantic error in the linguistic sense has to be defined in terms of particular features. When I say, I drank the cloud, this is not possible semantically, linguistically, because the verb drink requires something that is very fluid. So I can say, I drink the wine, I drink the beer, but I drink the cloud or I drink the stone is not acceptable in this sense. I could, however, say, and this is sort of linguistically correct, he drank the deadly poison every day. But it doesn't make a lot of sense with respect to what we know about the world, because if sort of a poison really is deadly, you cannot drink it every day. So I think we have to really pull apart these issues, and that's very difficult to pull apart, and there are not a whole lot of studies that have looked at this. So usually when semantic information is investigated in those neuroscientific experiments, it's not well distinguished. There are recent experiments that have tried to sort of pull that apart, controlling the stimulus material very well. But the outcome basically says us it's the same brain region that is involved in this. And I'm not so sure in how far one is really able to pull apart those two aspects when you present particular sentences, because usually both information types are somehow associated. So when we look at semantics, basically we have two parts. We have one part that is purely linguistic and one part that concerns world knowledge. Let me give you an example. When in a linguistic term, when I use the word chair, it's enough to know that this is something to sit on in order to build a correct sentence. However, my conceptual knowledge has a much richer information about what chairs are. They could be of different type, of different color, of different size. So all this information is not needed in sort of the system that linguists would define as semantics. So the idea is that the linguistic representation of the word chair basically is underspecified. And the specification we have in the conceptual knowledge system is good for understanding, or for understanding and integrating a particular sentence that are here in the world knowledge, but not necessarily there to build a correct, semantically correct sentence.